Hello? What's up, everybody?
Welcome.
Who is excited for Chris? Oh my gosh, it's Santa!
Whoa, Santa! This is hilarious.
Oh my gosh!
Oh my gosh! Wait, Santa!
Hey, don't throw things at Santa.
Does anybody have a question that you want to ask Santa? Because now's the time. If there's a burning question, Santa's leaving the building. Woo!
All right, everyone, settle down, settle down.
Wow. Some festive people
Oh my gosh,
here.
boys, quiet. I'll come over there. So what's going on, everybody? My name's David, if you don't know me already.
My name's Ashley.
Woo! Who's ready for Christmas?
Woo!
That's right.
Santa
So
Gamer.
welcome back to our last night of youth group for the entire year.
The whole
After
year.
tonight, I won't see you guys for an entire year. I'm a little sad about it. Are you guys a little sad about it? Ian's sad
We'll be
about
back
it.
next December. No, just kidding.
All right, well, hey, we got a jam-packed night for you guys. So if you guys want to look up to the screens for some announcements, but if you guys want to quiet down
Are you
first.
ready for these announcements? They're intense, guys. Never heard before.
Oh
One
my
of a
gosh.
kind.
Quiet.
What's the first one?
All right, let's see what announcements we got for tonight. First one. Small groups. Who loves their small group?
Woo!
So listen, the last Sunday was the last small group of the year. The next Sunday is going to be, if you look up at the screen, it'll be January 9th. This is going to be the next time that we're going to meet. So no more for the entire year. Sad face. Sorry, guys. Happy face. All right, whatever. All right, what else we got? Oh, also,
Next one is no youth. So this is our last youth group of the year. Christmas party, live it up. Okay, aw, I know, so sad. So not next week and the week after, no youth. We'll be back in January, okay?
all right, and this Friday is the Guys All
Friday.
Nighter. Let's hear from the boys. Listen, all night you get to party with me. You get to party with Jordy. There's going to be some great games, conversations, maybe even some sports. You don't know. It's going to be all night. So you guys can come. You guys can sleep if you want, if you're lame, or if you can be up all night like I am. What else we got?
The week after is the Girls All Nighter! Basically like the guys, but better. No, I'm just kidding. So, games, food, sleeping if you want. No judgment. So that will be the week after the Guys All Nighter.
Perfect. And what else we got? Tonight is the ugly sweater contest. Please stand up if you've got an ugly sweater. Man, look at you guys. You guys look so great and ugly at the same time. Oh, look at that. Twinning over there.
Oh my gosh.
All right, I love it. I love it. So coming up later, we're going to do an ugly sweater contest. You guys can be judged. Yeah, the Steelers sweatshirt over here is definitely going to win. All right, what else?
Is that all?
Bum, 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 bum.
Are those all of our announcements?
Bum, 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 bum.
Oh, yes. Okay. In January, I don't know who has been part of the Purity series in the past, but this January, we're going to have a series. It's the Arrow series. So it's kind of similar to the old Purity series, but we're just going to be talking about topics on how to just exhibit purity in every aspect of our lives. So that will be coming up in January. More details on that to come, okay?
Woo, 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 woo! All right, and I think that's everything.
All the announcements.
All the announcements. Who's ready for some games?
Christmas games?
Perfect.
Reindeer games, if you will.
Reindeer games, if you will.
Reindeer.
All right, everyone, I need you guys to find your pod leader and look at him. Stare at him, point at him.
Look at your pod leader.
Perfect. I'm going to need one representative from each team, from each pod
One
to come right up
person
here.
from each pod, come on up. One person from each pod, come to the Christmas tree. You're going to grab 5 rolls of wrapping paper for your pod. One person from each pod, grab 5 rolls of wrapping paper.
We're also going to need two rolls of tape.
Rolls of tape.
And a handful of ribbons, I think they're called. They're not called ribbons. Give me a second, y'all.
Tape. Oh. Oh, bows. There are bows up here too. Bows. Okay, so the object of the game is to decorate your pod leader the best out of every pod leader. And we will have a special judge. Judge who? And
Yeah, that's good.
the stakes are high tonight, guys. Because the winning pod gets Krispy Kreme donuts. Krispy Kreme donuts for the winning pod,
All right,
okay?
does everyone understand what they're doing? Raise your hand if you don't. We're going to give them...
How much ever time the tech team thinks is fair to wrap
we're
your
going to give
pod
about
leader
5 minutes, so to 7:19. So if you guys want to start in about 5, 4, and let's boot up some music as well. Let's get some good Christmas music, yeah? All right, let's go ahead and start decorating your leader.
I want to see the best wrapping I've ever seen. Maybe some homemade bows. I don't know. What's your favorite part of the wrapping?
I'm wrapping the gifts.
Yeah, that's
I don't
true.
like
That's
wrapping
true.
gifts.
Santa. I mean, Santa, you're back.
Looking great over here, boys.
All right, how we doing? They're looking colorful. I hear something about a hat over here. Sorry, these pods got it going on. All right. You know who some of our guest judges should be? Our volunteer high school students who came to worship with us. I think they should judge our contest. Is that the most excited, Jordan? Should we have our high school volunteers judge our contest?
Oh, 100%.
Abby, you better get your crew together. Uh-huh. High schoolers are gonna judge, guys. They're harsh critics. I'm just saying. The contest. Uh-huh. You're judging. You're gonna judge the contest, Abby. Is there anybody else from the high school down here? Okay. You and Amaya can judge if you want. I said you.
3 minutes. We got 3 minutes.
You have to pick which pod did the best at decorating their leader. We have some great guest judges who want to see immaculate wrapping. I'm just saying, the standards are pretty high. I don't know if anyone can hear me. Can you hear me? Hello? Halftime! You have, I know, rude. I'll get him. That technically. Okay, just over 2 minutes left. 2 minutes. Okay, come on. I was like, Abby. Our judges are walking around. Oh, yeah. I'll say a minute and 45 seconds left. Oh, is this Elsa? Okay, the judges, after the timer is up, the judges are walking around. So we'll just say while they're deliberating. All right, remember to leave
1 minute.
air holes for
1
your
minute. That's okay. We're also judging on how you're.
So while you guys walk around, we're going to talk to the camera. Yeah. 30 seconds!
Remember, you're
30
also being
seconds.
judged for how dirty your area is, so make sure you're cleaning up as you go along. If you ain't cleaning, you're losing.
Matt, scream once! Scream once if you can breathe! Scream twice if you
15
can't breathe!
seconds!
Matt. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wrapping All right, everyone.
All
Listen
right,
up.
everybody, listen up. Everybody, listen up. Thank you.
As the judges come around to deliberate, you need to pick up around your pod with the trash bags that Rosie brought. We have Amaya and Abby. They're going to walk around and judge, and Rosie. But as they walk around, you need to clean up your pods, okay? So go ahead, walk around while they clean up.
If you're not cleaning up, you're going to be losing. That's all I'm saying.
I still don't know if Matt can breathe over here, honestly, but we're just going to figure that out later, I guess. This is what he does for the youth.
He's the mystery man.
Who is it?
Cast your votes now, America.
All right, judges, keep walking, and once you're finished, come back up here. What is this? Are you a bride? Oh, wow, this is beautiful.
I call her Mrs. Claus.
What are you, Esther? Pregnant. That is true.
All right, boys, you're looking pretty messy over here. What's with all this mess?
Okay,
huh?
judges.
What is this?
Rosie.
What is that? I see a speck here. I see a speck. I'll be coming around with a white glove later.
Don't be messy with those.
Okay, judges, if you can make your way back up to the stage. Back up to the stage. Yeah.
What?
Were you listening to my announcement?
I honestly, I have selective hearing, so you're on the list of the people I don't listen to.
Get out of here. You're getting no donuts ever again. Okay, judges, deliberate amongst yourselves. This is for...
We need complete silence for these judges to think. Complete silence.
Catherine, let the judges deliberate.
Everyone be quiet. I need
This
complete
is
silence.
for Krispy Kreme donuts. I don't know. Jordy, what was the inspiration behind this outfit?
I'm trying to. We're just gonna go with. I hope it's a puppy.
Oh, okay. Okay, you guys, judges, are you ready? Okay.
Well, judges, you have 30 seconds.
They're so close to being ready. Look at these beautiful creations. Matt, can you make your way closer to the stage? Okay, stop. Matt, you're like, what is it, Larry the Cucumber from VeggieTales?
Oh, we need complete silence. Judges are about to make their call.
Drum roll, please.
The winner of the 2021 Rap Your Leader is Esther Spot. The technique
Here you are.
was beautiful.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Clean up the wrapping paper and throw it away. What is this, Kellen?
Okay, we need another representative from each pod. After you clean up, to hurry and come up because we're doing gingerbread house decorating. You have another chance to get a Krispy Kreme donut box for your pod. Not according to Ian.
What?
They were like, yeah.
Wow.
Okay, everyone. Ian, pick one for your pod. Take it back to them.
I need one representative from each
One
pod.
rep from each pod.
Please come up and grab the item for your next game.
You might want to have your pod box free to decorate with. Oh, which one did you go with, Micah?
Oh my god, guys.
What? Gingerbread vanilla? Yeah.
Okay, all right, everyone listen up.
Are you ready for these instructions?
All right, guys, listen up.
You've never built a gingerbread house like this ever before.
You guys are still being very loud.
Are you guys ready?
Can we do like silent coyotes? Quiet coyotes, is that what it is? Quiet coyotes. That's what we're talking about. Quiet coyotes. All right, listen up. So you guys all have a trash bag in your pod. Make sure you grab that. What you guys are gonna need to do is you guys will need to build that gingerbread house on top of that trash bag. If you get any of that mess anywhere else on the ground, you're instantly removed from the
It might be good to do it. Oh yeah, you could use wrapping paper.
You can use wrapping paper as well. Just don't get it on the ground.
Do it on
please.
top of the trash bag, on top of your black box. And then you can present it. I didn't hear you say anything, Esther. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about.
Does everyone understand what they're doing? You're building the gingerbread house that you have received from your team representative. Build that gingerbread house on top of that trash bag.
On top of your pod box, if you want
Or
it to
that
like
too.
be presentable with the trash bag underneath. And we will have more guest judges judge these gingerbread houses in 5 minutes. So
All right. You guys got 5 minutes. On your mark, get set, build those gingerbread houses!
you have 5 minutes, which seems like a lot of time, but it's not. So get going, ladies. Do we have scissors, Rosie, to cut icing? We are trying to find scissors. Wait, are you a part of a pod? I know, Rosie's trying to find some scissors. Yeah, I mean, unless you want to win. Yeah. Rosie's trying to bring scissors. So you guys are gonna guest judge with Santa. Yes.
And all I'm saying is Santa Pod wins. They're
But Santa has a
disqualified.
pod, so keep that in mind when she's delivering.
Go!
Some groups have scissors. I'm not going to tell you, Ian, some groups have scissors if you want to borrow them. Okay. Just under 3 minutes. Under 3 minutes. We can add a little time maybe because of the scissor debacle of 2021.
For scissors.
Who would have thunk it? they're gonna just judge with you if you want and Santa. Yeah.
Can I tell some jokes?
Yeah, we're gonna tell some Christmas jokes as we build our sleighs houses. Okay, Rosie, what Christmas jokes do you have for me?
Everybody's telling me. This one. I need to find a clean one. What nationality is Santa Claus?
Napoleon. Is that a joke?
No. Oh! No, it's North Polish. What did one Christmas tree say to another?
I don't know, Rosie. What did one Christmas tree say to another?
Lighten up. Good job, good job. Good job. Okay, come on, you guys, you can do it, you can do it. We're gonna give an additional 30 seconds. An additional 30 seconds. You have an additional 30 seconds. Oh my goodness. It's okay, you have another 30 seconds. We added 30 seconds.
Can we pay you for
So I actually.
How much time do we have left, Rosie?
We have 15 seconds.
15 seconds. Put the finishing touches on your houses and villages and sleighs and
As
donkeys.
soon as we hit 0, hands off your gingerbread house.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and a half.
Hands off!
Hands up, up. Woo!
All right, let's make this quick. Judges, if you want to make your final rounds.
Yes, we will, David. Okay.
Yeah. Try to get all of your gingerbread houses to the front. I don't know how possible it will be, but
Nice job,
Oh.
guys. Nice job, nice job. Oh.
if you can't pick it up, just keep it where it is. It's okay.
Oh, look at this group. This is interesting.
Okay. No, I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Do you not see how gracefully it's fallen? As if on purpose.
I wish I didn't put that in my mouth.
We are
Ooh.
geniuses.
What do we have here?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Thank you.
Okay.
Don't imagine what it would look like.
Okay.
Imagine what it would be
Okay.
like if you
I can
lived
see that. Oh, what do we have here? What
It
do we-
tastes like gingerbread.
What?
Okay, what's next?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay, I see you, overachievers. I see you. I want to see Jordy's.
Okay.
Okay, Jordy. Hey, bud. What is the name of this unedible? Jake, what's the name of this?
Wreckage on Trash Bag Hill.
Oh,
Trash Bag Hill, I like it.
earthquake on trash bag. All right, well, I will be the judge of this.
All right, judges, if you want to make your way back
That's
here,
pretty good.
make a final decision, please.
I'm coming.
Judges, 10 seconds. Oh, you already made. Oh, all right. Maya, please.
Okay.
Matt's crib.
Oh, okay, we might need a few more seconds.
Okay, so give it to a guys group. Okay, give it to a guys group.
Okay, that's what we're thinking, because obviously guys, but they already won. Right,
Okay.
exactly, and they made a very good story.
Yeah.
Jordy knocked over.
Okay,
Oh.
we've come to a decision.
Yes. It was a very difficult decision, mind you, but we finally came to one. We love you all, but we had to pick one winner. So.
The winner is.
Matt's group.
All right, hey,
Pick
pick it up.
Stat.
All right, guys, please pick up all the trash. Good luck.
All right, y'all, we got 10 seconds. We got one last thing to run through once we clean this up, so make this quick. Once we get this cleaned up, if we can have all ugly sweater contestants up to the front, please. All ugly sweater contestants up to the front and make a line right in front of here. All ugly sweater contestants to the front, please.
Oh, thank you.
All right, y'all, we're going to make this quick. Everyone else, is everyone up here? All ugly sweater contestants, please.
Please make your way to the front. Sweater.
So,
That's cute. That's cute.
we have two prizes for y'all. For the first place, we got a Chick-fil-A gift card. Second place gets a $15 Taco Bell gift card.
Ooh.
All right, so we're going to make our way down. If you could just please say your first name, and then we'll get this started. And for our first contestant, we have
Melissa, and this is my mom's sweater. Isabella. Natalie. Heidi. Esther. Anna. Tessa. Skylar. Bobby. Chai. Abby. The elf. Bree. Jonah. Asher.
Liam. Caleb.
Jack. Kellen. Micah.
Noah.
Jake. Dan.
Jude.
Summer. Geely.
perfect. All right, if we can get some Christmas music real quick or something. We are the judges. Me and Ashley will be judging you today. All right, if we can play some music.
I want you to be happier when the morning comes and we see what we've become. In the cold light of day, we're a flame in the wind, not the fire that we begun. Every argument, every word we can't take back. Cause with all that has happened, I think that we both know the way that the story ends. Then only for a minute, I want to change my mind. Cause this just don't feel right to me. I wanna raise your spirits, I want to see you smile, but no, that means I'll have to leave.
Okay, are we ready? Okay, Rachel is gonna announce our wait. Second place is Rachel will announce.
I've been thinking, I want you to be happier, I want you to be happier.
Okay,
Second place.
for second place, we have Jacob with his beautiful light-up necklace.
All right, and first place we have Anna and Esther. Woo!
All right, everyone, if you want to return to your seats.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Get the
everybody
rest
for
of the night
participating.
started.
You all looked wonderful.
Let's go have some fun. Yeah, ooh, yeah, nothing here to do now. Me and you can cool out on a summer day. I don't want this moment to end.
Okay, the worship team will make their way up.
I don't want this moment to end.
All right, if we can turn off the music here now.
Call your friends, I hope summer never ends. Yeah, rolling.
Okay,
Tell me if you rolling. I'ma text pass you at the gate till you get that code in. If I see your ex by the pulley getting thrown in, neighbors knocking on my door, I said that joint broken. My boys are hopping off of that roof. My bad, you're jumping and feel like blowing a roof. I think that everything is fine when I'm with you, girl. Nothing else to do, girl. Me and you can't lose, girl. So, ooh, wow, let's go to the luau. Uber to my pool out. Let's go have some fun. Yeah, ooh, yeah, nothing here to do now. Me and you can cool out on a summer day. I don't want this moment to end. I don't want this moment to end. I don't want this moment to end. We call your friends. I hope summer never ends. I don't want this to end. It's a summer day with my friend and sunburn on my skin. Treat this boogie boy like a big ends. I hit a party, now it's time to party. I treat goldfish like calamari. I'm with the things like Jack out the party. It's getting early. I gotta see my girl. I'm on a plane to go. Too much, way too long. It's my favorite song. I said, ooh, wow, it all goes down to the ooh. I ain't really tryna be rude. Yeah, I wanna keep talking about you. Let's go to the luau. Let's go have some fun.
want you, Lord, like never before. Your presence seems an open door. So come now, Lord, like never before. doing a new thing. Ready for what's yet to come. Ready for what you've got next. We're ready for the past to pass. We're running where the future is. It's coming like the rising sun. We want to see your kingdom come, do a new thing. Come do a new thing. 'Cause you're doing a new thing. Oh, you're doing a new thing.
God, we just thank you for all that you're doing, Lord, all the things that go on that we don't even always realize until later, but also the things that are happening presently in our lives, and even the things that we can look back to and point on in our own lives or generationally and say, that was a miracle, or because of that, I'm here and I have the life I have today. And so we just want to thank you. Keep doing new things in us, God. Please, we want to welcome them here and in this community. In your name we pray, amen. Y'all go ahead and be seated. All right, hey, so this is our last service of the year. Man, that came fast. We are wrapping up our Bad Habit series, and tonight's message is called, Where Did Jesus Go? Where did Jesus go? I'm going to read a story. It happened with Jesus and his disciples, or his 12 followers, you could say. Jesus had just performed a couple miracles. He was starting to preach. He was starting to reveal to the world who he was. And there's a wild story that takes place. I'm going to read it to you, so bear with me. Lock in. I'm going to read the whole thing, and then we'll start breaking it down. You guys ready? Ready? Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Mark 4, starting in verse 35. On that day, when evening had come, he said to them, Jesus, let us go across to the other side. And leaving the crowd, they took him with them in the boat, just as he was, and the other boats were with him. And a great windstorm arose, and the waves were breaking into the boat, so that the boat was already filling. But he was in the stern, asleep on a cushion. And they woke him and said to him, Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing? And he awoke and rebuked the wind and said to the sea, Peace, be still. And the wind ceased, and there was great calm. He said to them, Why are you so afraid? Have you still no faith? And the disciples were filled with great fear and said to one another, Who is this that even the wind and the sea obey him? What a crazy story, right? Like, who on the boat who in this room has been on a boat in a storm? Anyone been on a boat? And a couple of you, that's awesome. I know you have. A couple of you, I believe it. It's quite a terrifying thing. It's a pretty rough experience. Like, a real storm is awful when you're on a boat. People get seasick. You get thrown around. You start wondering if your life is in danger. No one's happy. And this storm, as far as storms go, we know that it was bad because the disciples, especially the ones that were fishermen, were no strangers to boats. Like, this wasn't a bunch of yuppie city people from New York City going sailing for the first time, and they're like, it was crazy, we almost died out there, but it was actually fine. And any real sailors, like, no, they're just scared. No, this is like people who are on boats for a living were terrified, and Jesus is asleep. And it's funny, traditionally when you're leading a group, you want to be present for the big moments. Like, when y'all are in high school, you're probably going to have opportunities to come with me to other countries on mission trips when you're in the high school ministry. And when we're in another country on a missions trip, if something crazy or sketchy comes up, I want to be present for it. Like, it would probably be bad if a bunch of high schoolers had something crazy happen and parents were like, where was Jordy? Oh, he was was sleeping in the back seat because he was tired, so he just wasn't there for it. That probably would not go over well. In other words, I better be there. But Jesus, he's nowhere to be found until someone checks the stern. That means the back of the boat. And they go in there just like, oh, there is Jesus. And it's profound because it's not exactly the kind of conditions one typically sleeps in. In fact, it's not even the kind of conditions that I think most people could fall asleep in, like a life-threatening storm. How do you sleep in that in a boat? Any of y'all, are you just that person that like you can sleep anywhere, anytime, daylight, noise, riot, party, stampede of buffalo? You can sleep. If you're going to sleep, you can sleep. Anyone that person in this room? You know what? That's a Christ-like quality. That's how Jesus was. He could sleep in a storm. Anyone gives you a hard time about that said, I'm just expressing my Christ-likeness because Jesus slept in storms. Why can't I? Right? My wife, she can't sleep if the tiniest little thing is off. I truly believe that if I put like a breadcrumb or a popcorn kernel under my mattress, my wife would be like, something's off, can't sleep. I think I should go home and tell her, babe, that's not Christ-like. Y'all think that's a good idea? No. Yes, the guys are saying yes. Do the guys know what they're doing in relationships? Should I trust them? The ladies say no, don't trust the guys. I'm probably going to trust the women on this one. But I will say, getting back to our message, we are the most at peace when things are under control. And we're especially the most at peace when things are under our control. Usually when we're anxious or we're stressed out, a lot of times it's because something is happening that is out of our control. But Jesus is not uneasy. He's totally fine because if you're Jesus, this storm is actually totally under your control. Which makes this an interesting story. The Bible tells stories, and then it retells stories a second time with Jesus as a main character. And so a lot of things that Jesus lived are actually repeats of things that happened in the Old Testament before Jesus was there. And so when the author, this story's in the book of Mark, when Mark wrote this story, he actually wants us to be thinking about another story about a boat and a storm. And that's the story of Jonah. He wants us to be thinking about Jonah. You see, way before Jesus was on earth, there was a person named Jonah, and they were called to go be a missionary to the region of Nineveh. And Jonah, frankly, he didn't want to be a missionary to Nineveh because he didn't want his missionary work to go well. He did not want the Ninevites to be saved because he despised them and thought of them as a very wicked people. And so Jonah was on a boat the opposite direction of Nineveh. He got on that boat and he's like, let's just go to not Nineveh. So he set a place in the opposite direction. They get on the boat and they go, and a storm raises up. And Jonah is also mysteriously asleep. And so Jonah's woken up, and they're trying to figure out what's going on, and the crew come to the conclusion, maybe God is displeased with someone on this boat. And so Jonah admits his wrongdoing, and he actually just volunteers to be thrown in the ocean. And once he's in the ocean, God calms the sea. God actually delivers Jonah, but that's a story for another day. But this time around, Mark is telling a stormy sea story, and Jesus is the one asleep on the boat. But when Jesus is woken up and the storm's raging and everyone's afraid, Jesus calms the sea himself. And the point of this, the reason Mark wrote this is because he wanted the readers of that day, he wanted the people who grew up hearing about the story of Jonah to see that and say, wait a second, I thought only God calmed the sea. And Mark's basically like, exactly. He's making a statement. Mark's agenda, when he wrote what we call the Gospel of Mark, the stories that he chose to include, his agenda was to present Jesus to the world as this divine Son of God that was predicted in the Old Testament. And so that's what he's doing. And so now that you know that, you've learned about the Bible, we have our context for the story. Let's go a little deeper. So Jesus is asleep like Jonah, only Jesus isn't avoiding something. He is reliving the story of Jonah. He's at peace because he's in control. He is also testing his disciples. You see, storms are never just storms. And when I say storms, I mean literally storms, but also figuratively. Like when things get hard in life or things start to go wrong and everything kind of feels disrupted in our personal lives, we also refer to those often as storms. Storms are never just storms. They are also tests. And nothing tests a sailor like a storm. I used to work construction on this remote island in Alaska called Chiniga. It was like a 2.5-hour trip from the mainland, and you could only get there by boat. And we went around on this little speedboat called a Boston whaler. And there's all these legends about Boston whalers that they're unsinkable. Even if you snap the boat in half, it won't sink. And so we felt invincible on this thing. There's actually, wow, I make that boat look good, don't I? Modeled that boat well. That's actually the exact boat right there. I'm like, hey, that's me. But that's actually the exact boat right there. And that boat is pretty small for the kind of waters we were going out on. And like you look at the sides and you're like, man, you can go to my next picture. Like the back sides of that boat are like 14 inches out of the water. And so we would be out on that boat and literally we'd go overnight on multi-day fishing trips, yada, yada. And pretty much every time we were out, we could always hear Mayday calls on the radio. And in order to hear something on the radio, you got to be close to it. And so Michael and I, my friend I was with, we started to wonder, like, should we be out here in this thing? Like, is this sketch? And so we talked to this old Alaskan, he was basically a captain of a ship. And if you're a captain of a ship in Alaska, you're like as manly as they come. Like, you look into those guys' eyes, and it just feels like they've lived 1,000 lifetimes with all the stories and experiences. And they're the kind of people that are like, oh, you got a hook through your hand, just rip it out. Who cares? Be a man. You know, those kind of people. And so we asked this guy, we're like, hey, so we're in like a 23-foot Boston whaler out in Prince William Sound, going all the way to Night Island and Chiniga. And we're like, do you think that's like, do we have a big enough boat for that? Like, what kind of waves could we handle here? And he's just like, listen, young lads, you know. And he basically tells us that, he says, you know, you've got a good boat. And he says, if you have a good boat, when the storm comes, he said, it's not the boat that's going to be defeated. He said, typically when a boat goes down in a storm, it's actually the person operating the boat that gets defeated by the storm. He said they get defeated mentally, then they get defeated physically, and then they lose control of the boat, and the boat goes down. He says it's rarely that the captain was up to the task, but the boat failed him. It's pretty much always that the storm defeated the person operating the boat. Nothing tests a sailor like a storm. And the disciples, they're in a storm, right? They're in this test with a very special passenger who they are literally following for a living. Their lives are revolving around Jesus. They're living with him. They're following him. They're starting to believe what he says. They're helping to spread the message. And when the sea rages, they are afraid and they wake up Jesus and they accuse him. So did the disciples test well in this instance? We would say no. And it's so important. There's this tiny detail in the beginning of verse 35. I want to take a look at it. It's the first verse that we read. Mark points out, on that day, when evening had come, he, that was Jesus, said to them, let us go across to the other side. And so, y'all, it was Jesus' idea to be on the lake when that storm was going to hit. And it's not like Jesus is like, oh, man, I talked to God and he warned me about that thing, but I thought it was Friday, but it was actually Thursday, and so we got hit by the storm. Sorry, guys. Like, that's not what happened. Jesus was perfect. He said, let's go right now, and he knew that storm was going to hit, and it hit. In other words, just because the disciples were with Jesus, they did not get a free pass on the troubles of this life, on the hardship of crossing the lake, of the hardship of doing life here on earth. And that's actually a great picture because this is so important that we know this. Being a Christian often does not mean being delivered from the storms of this life, but instead, it usually means that God's going to deliver us through the storms. We're still going to experience death and sickness and broken relationships and all the sad things that everyone else goes through. We're going to see terrible things happen in this life. But because we have God, we actually have someone that goes with us and can deliver us through the storms. But our faith, our Christianity is not a free pass out of the troubles of this world. But it is something that can sustain us through them. And I want to say this too, that being in a storm doesn't always mean that you did something wrong or you made God mad. In Jonah's case, it was his fault. But a lot of the times, it's just kind of the hand that you're dealt, right? Like the disciples, they're following Jesus. They're doing everything right. They're literally traveling with Jesus, and they still have to deal with the storm. And so what matters is not the circumstances that you get put in or the storms that come. Where your faith really shows is in how you navigate that storm. Can you have peace in that storm rather than accuse God? And so I want to look at what the disciples said when they rebuked Jesus. They said, "Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing?" And Jesus said to them, "Why are you so afraid? Have you still no faith?" You see, Jesus could sleep in a storm and still chose to cross that lake because of his faith in himself. And if we are Christ followers and we want to go through storms as Jesus does, with this sense of peace, with this sense of it's going to be all right, maybe even sometimes when it doesn't make sense, I'm going to be able to take a nap. We're going to have this faith that God is in control. And sometimes when we're in a storm, we're actually going to have to stop and realize God let that storm happen. And I don't know why. I wish he didn't. But he's good. And he let it happen. And he can give me peace through it. So I'm going to seek him. You see, Jesus asked why the disciples were so afraid. And then specifically asked about their faith. Because they didn't have to be afraid. And the more you walk with and the more you trust Jesus, the more stable you can be throughout the highs and lows of life. My aux port on my car doesn't work, which is really sad. Life is hard. That's a storm. That's actually what motivated me to preach this whole message, is having to just be stuck with the radio. But no, seriously, so I was driving home, and I'm like, oh, I want to listen to something. And, you turn on Air One, and they're just fundraising again. It's like, oh, come on. And so they're always fundraising, I know, and the Fish just won't stop playing Chris Tomlin, and I like him, but I don't like him that much. So I just flip a channel, and it's the news. And I don't listen to the news much, and these guys are going back and forth, and this guy basically says, he goes, it's kind of like, just with everything that's happened in 2020 and the politics and COVID and yada yada, he's like, the boat's really been rocked. And he's like, and everyone on the boat's kind of fighting and blaming each other, and that's really unfortunate. But he's like, man, this boat has really been rocked. And in other words, what they're talking about is us as like a country right now, even just like as humanity, like a lot of this stuff is global. Like our way of life in some ways has been rocked. And in other words, we're in a storm, kind of as a human race right now. And anxiousness is at a level that it's never been before. And for young people, a lot of adults, they say things like this. They're like, man, if I could be a kid again, just that worry-free Saturday morning cartoons. And I don't think that a lot of you, and this is so sad to me, I just don't think a lot of you are going to grow up and say stuff like that. Because a lot of you already, stress very up close. Stress up close and personal. A lot of you are already very anxious. Young people today are so much more anxious than young people were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Maybe not you personally, some of you, but a lot of you know exactly what I'm talking about. Y'all's generation is stressed out. And you know what Jesus is saying to his disciples once the storm hit. You know what Jesus is really saying to everyone that he wants to follow him, everyone that he's revealing himself to. He's saying, Jesus, there are things that ought to make us anxious, right? Like there's things that are tough. But Jesus is saying, listen, you can have peace. You don't have to be so rocked by this. You don't have to be so uprooted because I don't have to be, because I'm in control and I know everything's good in the end and I can sustain you and I can give you my peace. That's what Jesus is saying. I want to show you guys one of my favorite passages. It's in Jeremiah 17, 7 through 8. But blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in him. They will be like a tree planted by the water that sends out its roots by the stream. It does not fear when heat comes. Its leaves are always green. It has no worries in a year of drought and never fails to bear fruit. The person whose confidence is in God. Yeah, things are going well. It bears fruit when there's rain and the proper amount of sunshine and everything's going well. But then the heat comes and there's fear, like, oh my gosh, there might be a drought. What if there's no water? And, a lot of the trees begin to struggle, but not this tree. Somehow its leaves are still green. It doesn't have the same worries that everyone else has. It's not rocked as much as everyone else is. And it never fails to bear fruit because its confidence is in the Lord. The confidence is in the one thing that is stable and never changing and always good and eternal, God. Paul says it this way in Philippians 4, 6, and 7. This verse, a lot of you will be more familiar with. Be anxious about nothing, but in everything by prayer and request with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Christ. Paul's saying, don't be anxious, but instead take what you're worrying about and lay it before God. And he's saying that there's a peace that surpasses understanding. It doesn't have to make sense. Your situation doesn't have to be fixed. You can have the peace anyway. And so, friend, what we need to do with the worry and the things that we struggle with, you need to bring your worry to God, and you need to have faith in the one you are praying to. Jesus asked about the faith of those who were so scared on the boat, his disciples. It was a test. And he didn't do it to shame them. He didn't do it to make them feel bad. And I'm not talking about this hoping that anyone will feel bad, because Jesus did this test because he actually wanted to expose their shortcoming of faith. He actually wanted to expose the unnecessary anxiety that they were feeling, that even though they're on a boat with Jesus, they were still stressed out. He wanted it to be acknowledged so that it could get better, so that he could prepare them for when he ascends to heaven. And friend, for all of us, if we're being honest, all of us can grow in our faith. And it's okay to acknowledge that. God does not turn away those who earnestly seek him. Like if you pray and you're like, God, listen, I don't have the faith to actually trust you when I pray to you about the things I worry about, so I just keep worrying about them and I never actually feel better. I've been a Christian for years, but I've never actually felt your peace. I'm just as anxious as everyone else. Help me. What's wrong with me? I know I should trust you more. I'm sorry. God's like, okay, like he already knew that. He's not like, oh my gosh, don't say that to me, right? He already knows. He's like, finally, you get it now, and he's willing to fill in the gap. God is willing to give you what you don't have when you ask for it, and so bring it to him. God is good to those who seek him. You and I have never physically walked the earth with Jesus, and likely we won't in this lifetime, like the disciples got to. But we are very much in the same situation that Jesus left the disciples in. Because you see, not long after this story that we read today took place, Jesus rose from his death on the cross, and he ascended back to heaven in his early 30s. And he left the disciples. He didn't abandon them, but he left them to live out all that he had taught them and to spread it globally. And it's the same thing today, that Jesus, he might not be physically here in front of us, but God occupies his entire creation, and he's left his Spirit living in us to help us to live as he's called us to, and to give peace to those who seek him. And so the reason I talk about this is because, friends, a lot of what we worry about, a lot of what we go through is not necessary. We actually have God that's offering us freedom from a lot of the anxiety and the worries of this life because he is good and he is eternal. And so may you and I, may we all live as though in every storm, the God of the universe is resting in our lives and inviting us to share in his peace. Can I pray for you guys? God, I pray that you would just continue to show yourself faithful and good. Continue to give us confidence in you. And I pray that more and more we could learn to trust you, that throughout our lives we would grow in our trust and we would learn to be less anxious and have more of a stability, not because we're just so strong-willed, but because, God, that our hope and our sense of peace, that it comes from you. And that we would just trust you to this level that when things seem so unrest and we're like, I don't know what the world's going to look like in 10 years. I don't know what for me it's going to look like to have a family in this society one day. That we would just be at peace and say, God's got this in his hand. He will lead me. He will guide me. He will sustain me through this. There's meaning. There's purpose. There's security in my relationship with Jesus. Would you do it in all of us? God, I pray against voices of worry and anxiousness in this generation and the young people in this room, and I pray for your freedom. Give us faith in you and give us your peace. In your name we pray, amen. Hey, y'all, we're going to do group discussion. It's going to be a little quicker today. Be back in the room. We're going to start worship at 8:25. So y'all got about 9.5, 10 minutes. We'll start the last song at 8:25.
I'm standing in the fire, I will not be overcome. Through the valley of the shadow, I will not fear, and I am not alone. I am not alone. You will go before me. You will never leave me. I am not alone. I am not alone. You will go before me. You will never leave me. In the midst of deep sorrow, I see your light is breaking through. The dark of night will not overtake me. I am pressing into you. Lord, you fight my every battle, and I will not fear. I am not alone. I am not alone. You will go before me. You will never leave me. I am not alone. I am not alone. You will go before me. You will never leave me. You amaze me, redeem me, you call me as your own. You amaze me, redeem me, you call me as your own. You amaze me, redeem me, call me as your You're my strength, you're my defender, you're my refuge in the storm. Through these trials, you've always been faithful. You bring peace to my soul. I am not alone. I am not alone. You will go before me. You will never leave me. I am not alone. I am not alone. You will go before me. You will never leave me. I am not alone.
Thank you that we aren't alone. Help us to have confidence of that when we can't physically see you, when we don't feel like the emotions of your presence in a situation. Help us to have confidence that you are there, God, because the reality is that you've never left. And so I pray that we more and more would be able to see that and recognize that in our lives. Thank you for this year, for all the ways you've revealed yourself, God, for all the moments, for the experiences, for the fun trips. We just want to thank you, God, for just all the incredible blessings that we've had as a community. sustain us in this next season until we gather again. In your name we pray. Amen. Hey, love y'all. Don't be here next week. Remember, guys all-nighter, 8:30, meet in this room. Ladies all-nighter, following week. If you're wondering if you should go, it's incredible. It's life-changing. Be there.
Universes is God and he planets and it outstanding and it's outlandish to be out acting like you out tracking. You are not running anything. Not even joking. Not even trying. Not even walking. He take your breath away. There's no way hailing that hope with that asthma. Be cautious. We created our bodies and painted as colors. Is that something you have considered? Well, in all of your figuring, how do you figure you more than an action figure? Just a presence of greatness. Bow to the Lord. Not the girl in New Zealand, not only when royal, you met him before. Hey, it's that presidential, cream dollar crumb. Your top show, cream dollar crumb. And you know it, you know it. All hail the king, 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 all hail the king. God, OMG, who made them stars? Outer space or Hollywood, which way you wanna go? He made them both. Hey, you should know, who are you to think he needs you to? A system in the air, like it's a alley-oop. Cause see, we dropped the ball. His love could pick us up. His love could save us all. Hail the king, you ain't never seen him. And you seem to think you know what I mean. But what I meant to say is every single day and every way you look is everything you made. You couldn't top that. With a top hat, on the top shelf, with a ladder that you climbed on just to get there. He's the most high, hands in the air, y'all. Hey, this that presidential, cream dollar crumb. That top shelf, cream dollar crumb. Hey, you know it, you know it. All hail the king, 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 all hail the king. King of all, watching all his enemies fall. Omnipotence is infinite, so witness it like Kingdom Hall. I bet you think you a god. Not at all, you make it rain, he makes it fall in galaxies that you never saw nest. That's royalty, and that crown of thorns is worth more than gold. And that's loyalty, and he bought us back when we sold our souls. And I'm mourning me, cause the king ordered my death. So I put that royal sword in me, and I mortified my flesh. Turn up, turn up. Thank God for the murder, thank God for the purpose. Think I saw Shadrach and Meshach back in the furnace. Thank God we didn't burn up, I would've failed. Would've been lost in despair, if my God did not have prevailed. But my king trill, cause he saved Bill, and also defeated all hell. All hell. Hey, this that presidential, cream dollar crumb. That top shelf, cream dollar crumb. Hey, you know it, you know it. All hail the king, 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 all hail the king. You know it. This is where we come from, yeah, we did it. City on my back, I'm committed. This is where we come from, yeah, we made it. Now the whole team celebrating. We like, oh, 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 oh. Don't mistake the new me for the old me. They can't stop me now, I'm with the home team. No beginner, I'm a winner. Took a couple losses, now I'm cooking, let me simmer. Yeah, yeah, tunnel vision, all I see is win, 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 win. This my city section where you been. We move faster alone, but go further together. We can weather any weather forever. A dream team, I done seen things.